threat. So on blue side now, T1 have an opportunity to run back a different and perhaps more stable draft here in game 2. A lot of these big picks are gone. The Nico is gone.
Yep.
Like Guma usually avoids playing Kai'Sa. Played very well last game, but not well enough to get them across the line. But now they don't have to worry about that threat because it's Fearless banned for the rest of the series. The Orianna's gone, the Lucian's gone, the Aurora's gone. So picks like the Gwen rise in priority quite a bit. Hanwha Life going to take the Bard away from Keria again over those really standard red side bans.
I actually really like just perma-banning Bard in this series against T1. I think Keria has been able to warp games with that champion, and we saw they can give away some power picks and still make things work. We know that they've got deep pockets as far as champions that they can play, and they can pick up some of these counter picks if they need to. But I think Azir is still going to be taken away. There it is.
Yeah, that much is definitely, I think, always going to be banned by Hanwha Life on red side.
I think Yunara probably worth a look in as well, especially if the Wukong is going to be going unchecked. Well, unless the Wukong goes unchecked.
If the Wukong is banned, okay, so this is smart by T1, I think, because if you first pick the Yunara, then they get the Wukong.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then they get Wukong and Yunara. So you had to ban the Wukong and look and trade the Yunara ban or ban the Yunara. And it looks like they want to maybe grab like a first pick Annie potentially here, or a first pick Rise in this draft.
Yeah.
Faker usually gets the first look in drafts like this in terms of the pick.
Yeah, we've often seen a lot of, even in the last game, right, Orianna was first pick, but the Pantheon is up and available, and there's no Jarvan to answer it this time around.
Yeah.
We've often seen the J4 be the pick into this Pantheon.
Now they can go for like Rise Sivir because the Jarvan is already gone, and feel really good about the amount of wave clear that brings to the table here. And obviously Rise is one of the most impactful mids right now in this meta. Such strong side laning, such strong collapse. His ability to do massive damage late is, I think, something that red side teams have loved to pick when this Pantheon is taken. Alternatively, you go for the Xin Zhao here right now. Don't have to lock the Sivir right away. I don't think you need to grab Xin Zhao because the Pantheon's obviously already locked. So I'm a little bit surprised to see that is being hovered first.
You might want to react to what is going to be locked in next. And so it could be dangerous to say, like, we're definitely just going to lock Xin in third. I can understand some of the thinking, as instead the Ambessa priority picked here by Zeus.
The Gwen is still available and is one of the best answers for it since the Aurora is gone. So I think this is part of why they decide to do this. They don't really have that much intention of playing Rise plus Gwen, and so they take the Ambessa instead. T1 could play the Gwen. Like, it's insane strong side laning with the Pantheon. This is going to be a favorite of Doran's if it were to be locked in. That Annie I mentioned earlier that they did not take is going to be really strong with Pantheon. Not in terms of what it can do in sides necessarily, but for how powerful the duo is for just chain CCing a single target, like the Rise, for example, which is the first threat that's available here for Hanwha Life that you'd want to focus down.
Does give them a bit of extra damage as well, with the fact that, Annie is actually a caster, does a decent amount of damage in the team fight in comparison to something like a Galio. But let's see, I expect Doran is going to lock something away, and there is the Gwen, like you were talking about. And it's so weird, right? Because we saw this matchup yesterday, looked pretty Gwen favored.
Yeah.
I think that the nerfs to Gwen made it way more Ambessa favored than it ever was. But I'm really interested to see how this one goes, because Doran has been so good at the Gwen so far this year. And, I mean, it's Zeus on a champion that can do really fancy stuff.
When I think about, Gwen this playoffs and really at the end of this year, as it will be Vi ultimately here for Peanut,
Ooh.
I think about Keen and I think about Doran. Like, these two players have had insane Gwen performances, even if they fall behind in lane because they're counterpicked. They just do so much. And when you have all this CC set up to hold people in place for the Gwen to do that damage, it is pretty insane. When you consider we don't even have the 80 carry locked in just yet. Vi, really a strong pick here with the Ambessa and the Rise. A lot of single target blow up potential here, and the Rise can help get you to where you need to be to set that up with the Realm Warp. The Sivir is going to be banned. I thought, that this was something that Hanwha Life Esports would really be looking into grabbing themselves, but they took the Ambessa instead. Then took the Vi because they don't want to get the jungle pool locked out. And Corki will be taken away. Corki is such a great follow-up to the Vi and Bessa engage, kind of like budget Kai'Sa in a little bit of a way with the Valkyrie there.
I think the Jhin is also worth a look in, as the Annie and Rakan combo going to be taken away, but the Alistar will be prioritized as far as that ban is concerned. Delight not going to be playing that one. And now, what are we locking away, Viper? I expect like something
Jhin?
like a Varus or a Jhin. Or
Jhin or Varus both work really well because they're both long range. They're both very safe into the Annie pick, and they both follow up on these single target engages really well. But he's got something else in mind here if they're going to lock this Rel. I mean, it's a Delight favorite.
Yep, we're going to pan over to Delight.
I mean, how much
the
engaged...
camera guys also thought Viper was going to lock something in.
How much engaged do we really need in this draft? They got a lot.
Yeah, and pretty short range, but so is T1, right? We are sticking with that as Gumayusi going back to an old favorite. And I remember actually in their last series, this is a champion that I was expecting him to play even earlier in the series. Xayah has been an all-time favorite for Guma for quite some time.
I really like the Xayah into what Hanwha Esports have shown already, but it does open you up to just getting outranged by whatever Viper locks in that final spot. Because right now it's a very low-range comp, but that will change.
Whoa, Renata.
Renata surprising here as well. Very good into Mbessa and Vi engages.
And in fact, like everyone is very short range.
Yeah.
So the hostile takeover should be able to get a fair bit of value, but we're just going to Ziggs.
So I was thinking he's probably not going to go for the Jhin anymore in this draft. There's just too many ways to get on top of this immobile threat. Doesn't have any escapes.
But
I
it's
was thinking
also
Ezreal or
impossible.
Ziggs.
You can't play Xayah into Ziggs.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing. So like, this is what I was talking about. When you lock the Xayah and you're like, okay, if you cover the Ziggs, you're like, man, that's great into this comp. But, you know, either Ezreal, Ziggs, or maybe even Varus is coming, and you're going to have a really tough time in the laning phase. You're going to have a tough time in team fights if you just get chunked out before the fights begin. And this side laning Gwen is backed up by the Pantheon, but there's still a Ryze to answer, and the Ryze has insane wave clear. The Ziggs has insane wave clear. And not to say that T1 have a bad draft by any means, but I think the Xayah is going to be a lot more difficult than what they planned for it to be. And you can see it on Guma's face. I think he was aware that when he locked this in, it was going to be good into most of the enemy comp. They have the Renata to back it up, but whatever Viper plays is the scary part. He's got the Ziggs to just simply chunk you out.
And that's why it's so hard to blind pick into him. I actually think that it's really smart that they lock away the Rel first, give Delight just some reliable engage, not too worried about what happens. Obviously, the matchup into Renata isn't the best, but the fact that you're just not able to blind pick something like Xayah is very problematic.
If they had banned, you know, the Ziggs instead of the Alistar, maybe this would make more sense, but instead they decided to go for that, and now huge opportunity here for Viper once again in Game 2.
Yep, this is a big one. Match point on the line here for Hanwha Esports, and T1 wanting to tie up this series. Let's get onto the Rift for game number 2.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift, and I will give you a little bit of a peek behind the curtain here as far as our caster group chat is concerned. Dan was apparently screaming at the TV for some Ziggs. Even before Xayah was locked in, he's like, give me the Ziggs, give me the Ziggs. And Viper doesn't let him down.
When you see the Rel on top of the other single target CC, it's so easy to follow up as Ziggs with your ultimate, but even just with your damage in general, the zoning he can provide on objectives is really, really strong. And when you're playing into the Annie, sometimes the Annie, and any low-range comp that has an Annie, is just kind of waiting for you to look for the fight first so that they can re-engage or catch you on a flank. But the Ziggs just really gives this composition for Hanwha Esports a lot more depth, because before it was just low-range, all-in engage. But now the Ziggs is like, I follow up on that, but I'm safe as well, and I can do consistent damage.
He's going to be pretty much unkillable for a large portion of this game. Also, very cute skin. I don't know whether that's necessarily my favorite. Pool Party is just a little bit too good. But it is kind of adorable and does have a lot of pretty colors, and I like pretty colors. I'm a simple man. Okay, having a look here in this mid lane, as Faker should be absolutely fine here. I believe probably a similar matchup to what we saw in the first game, but this time you can see that Faker is able to get a little bit more priority.
It gets the stun here. Zeka still gets that minion. Yeah, it's going to be level 2 first for Faker, nothing crazy. I'm more interested in, we know what the bottom lane is going to look like, which is Ziggs is going to outrange and put some pressure on. Not here at level 1, but once level 2 gets hit, it's going to be a little bit easier. He's also missed a few of those Qs. what happens in the top lane is where I'm like, ooh, that one's pretty spicy. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, observers.
Yeah, it is continuing to look a little bit spicy here. Zeus has gone for the grasp, and the wave is going to be shoved towards him right now. We are going to see both of these top laners sitting on pretty low health for a large portion of this laning phase. It's going to give us a bit of anxiety, and hopefully we can all cope with it.
Yeah, Doran gets the shield there out of Zeus, doesn't commit his Q, uses it for the minions, crashes the wave in.
It does feel like
most of these.
Yeah, it does feel like Doran's shield will be helping Zeus out here quite a bit. I don't know why he stole the shield of his lane opponent, but there you go. And Doran is actually going to be going for an early back here as well, just to make sure that he's feeling all right. Teleporting in as well, as he will be able to collect a cloth armor.
Zeus to get a little frisky with this.
I was actually thinking about going home himself, but decides instead to stick around momentarily.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, with Ambessa in another matchup, you can just like spin around, press all your buttons, get away, and then be like, aha, now I have health advantage with my TP. But instead, he's trying to bait him because Peanut's coming. Doran, see if he reads this.
Well, Doran actually sticking around, does have that snip fully stacked up. Will mean that Peanut is just going to back away. But Doran in a very good position now. Okay, see how this one is going to go.
And now Zeus is kind of in this awkward spot where it's not a great time to back and wants to get these minions pushed in and then back and then TP back in. Might even just be able to skip the TP if he could have cleared the whole wave. Just gonna walk away now.
Yep.
And Peanut does not commit any further, as this bottom lane is really not going according to the tin, as you often say. It's going very well for Guma, in fact. The area on being on this range support does help quite a bit. And
I think
offer a lot of shields. Says, oh,
yeah, nice little satchel there to get Viper out of dodge. I think this is more of a don't die type lane in the early stages. I think it's more unanswerable later on.
If you make a mistake as the Xayah, then you can die. But if you hit all of the Poke Zigs, I think even into the Renata, you can get some advantages. But he has dodged a lot of that Poke, as we saw when we were watching that lane earlier. Like Guma and Keria were really absorbing it well. You know, you can shield things like the bomb, the Comet as well with Keria once you have level 3. And he's actually winning the lane quite heavily, and will force Viper to back and TP in.
It's kind of crazy.
He's actually going to TP top.
Yeah. So just going to be swapping the lanes here, as Doran with not a lot of blue stuff. Viper is going to be able to annoy him here momentarily. Bouncing Bomb chases him down the lane, but not too much else is going to be gleaned, as, wow, Delight very close to just dying. If there was a feather recall there, could have been problematic. It might be a little bit of a glimpse into what Zeus' future looks like, as he does very nicely clear out these minions.
Yeah, a lot of minions to be caught here for Viper. Will get some of that CS back that he was missing. You can see he's just going to try to take some away from his opponent. Because of this lane swap that Guma and Keria were confident enough to think that they could force, we actually see Guma taking teleport as well, which is quite rare. It's normal for the Ziggs to do this because he gets so much value out of it, and because he destroys turrets so quickly, like there's so much utility in it outside of lane swaps and getting pushed in the lane. But Guma matching it, that's pretty rare. But I actually think it makes a ton of sense in this game. Very smart choice.
Yeah, pretty cool. And it is going to mean that T1, with that control of the bottom side that they did lock down, are going to be able to get themselves the first Drake of the game. That is going to be a Chemtech this time around. Not going to see any Chemtech souls. And that should be falling down momentarily. Level 5 still here for Doran, is pretty close to level 6, but Zeus, as we could see, does manage to pick that one up a little bit earlier on. As Gumayushi is over here, there's the crash down, flash out, but over the wall comes Peanut, and Guma is in so much trouble! Satcheled and destroyed. Handshake there, top of the morning to you, says Keria as he walks his way past. But that is just a quick pick off, and HLE are on the board.
I thought Guma was aware that Peanut was in the area because he had the wave pushed up, but he suddenly walked back. Maybe he thought Peanut just was not going to stay that long and thought, okay, it's just going to be the attempt there with the satchel, and takes the flash angle that unfortunately isn't going to save him, and Peanut is right behind him. And Peanut is able to get the kill without level 6. Has level 6 in his ultimate now, so still going to be able to walk straight back to the jungle and potentially make an impact in these lanes. So big win here for the side of Hanwha Life Esports. As we'll watch it again, clearing this control ward here, Delight goes in for the engage, and Guma had otherwise been positioned really carefully here. Keria is nowhere nearby. He even commits the heal here and try to save him.
I mean, there are a lot of summoners, like even Viper having to flash forward for that one. As Delight just walking on over, will find the crash down, the Rune Prison in there as well. Cease and desist, and Faker will be taken out. Now Owner is going to come in, but another teleport from Carrier Vault Breaker to try and keep them safe here. As Owner finds a big Q, that should be able to disengage this one, but nothing back here for T1, and HLE find another kill.
Another kill onto Faker this time around, and I was starting to get worried that maybe they were going to get another one there, but good disengage from T1 after the commitment of the ult from Owner and the TP there into the mid lane. And ultimately, though, it's still a kill, right? Like Zeka rather is flashed down now, Peanut flashed down now, but a lot of gold generated in this early game, and Viper starting to run away a little bit with this top lane.
Yeah, and Delight, his rel kind of getting work done around this rift. Bouncing bomb onto Gumushi, starting to do a bit of damage here as it is Lost Chapter complete for Viper. Likely going to be going for, you know, the Ludens type build that we did see yesterday.
Yeah, that's what you have to imagine, especially in this draft. And Peanut is already going to try to go for one of these grubs here.
Ooh, stolen away there by Owner. So nicely done for T1.
And Peanut had the smite at the ready, just not quite able to secure it. It was obviously a Vi, so can get out of there even without his flash, but not what he was looking for. Was hoping to at least get one and say thank you very much.
Yep, good timing does come on through as Viper with a bouncing bomb is going to find a bit of damage onto Owner. Mega Inferno Bomb comes on down, but Owner is going to be able to secure all three. So some grubs going over to T1. It's going to feel great, especially for a Gwen composition.
Yeah, that kind of fight there felt like fate decided T1 was going to get all three grubs. Like between Peanuts not able to smite and then the ult coming through. His Faker here is way up in the lane, and the Realm Warp comes through from Zeka, and the flash actually comes out here in weird timing. Carrier does show up here, of course, and is very promptly going to leave.
Yeah.
And Zeka looks for the flash for that one. So 2 flashes down on the side of Hanwha Esports, but ultimately still got the kill. Got the punish onto the Annie.
We have Cease and Desist coming up relatively quickly here for Peanut. Faker still with his flash, and so will likely be able to avoid that death in the mid lane, especially with waves being shoved on in. As you can see, Zeka here with a fair bit of control. And also doing a fair bit of damage, grabs a plate, and the Rise feeling very happy at this stage of the game, wanting that Rod of Ages to be complete. Should be getting there pretty quickly.
Yeah, this Ziggs just getting so much free push in the top side of the map now. Doran, without teleport, trying to come up and catch that wave. See, a TP is going to have to be used here by Guma to catch the bottom wave. And Hanwha Life just have so much tempo on the map right now, so much control of all 3 lanes. Like, Faker's getting pushed in, doesn't have to flash like you said, so at least he's safe, so to speak, but isn't going to be having any pressure there. And there's just not one part of the map that is not painted Hanwha Life.
Yeah, and they look like they're going to be contesting for this next dragon as well. I think the last game, I think, was largely playing compositions really well, but also a bunch of these steals that Peanut was able to pick up earlier in the game really did get them off to a great start. And I think having a bit of extra objective control in this game is going to be important as well, because we've seen already first Drake and 3 grubs going over to T1, HLE needing to focus on some of these neutrals. As Doran finding a decent trade here, as in comes Peanut, Cease and Desist comes down, public execution there as well as some needlework to come on through. They get the flash out of Doran, and it looks like HLE are happy with that. As a lot of R buttons now on cooldown, and this could actually be a bit of a problem if they do want to fight around this dragon, because you can see Owner already in position, and it could be that double dragon being locked down as well as those feats of strength.
That is definitely the hope here for T1. They have full control. They've got control vision in this Tri-Brush, and this Scuttle vision will fade. As Faker's just going to drop a bear as well onto Zeka, so even if he wanted to make a Realm Warp call with Delight coming in on a flank, it's just now a little bit less appealing that he's at half health. That is just going to be the dragon, double dragon into mountain here for T1. We didn't talk too much about it when the grubs were taken as 3 when Peanut didn't get that first one there, but this is pretty insane for both teams. Like a Rise plus Ziggs comp for Hanwha would have loved to have as many grubs as possible, but the Gwen in particular, I think out of all of these champions, is the most potent inside. So they tried to shut Doran out, they got his flash, but he's still alive. He has not been put down on this Gwen, and if T1 can slow this game down a little bit, because now they have the 2 Drake lead, they have a lot more opportunities to do so. This Gwen is going to be a big threat that needs to be answered, and they have the Pantheon on their side to match so much easier. The Rise can still match, of course, but the Pantheon is going to be, since he's the jungler, obviously much closer and much more readily available to do so.
We're going to see that Faker do get spotted out there on his recall. As Owner going to face check this brush, and Room Prison comes on down. Their single target pick is revolting on this HLE comp. That is going to be Feats of Warfare locked on in. And we are one apiece. Just the first turret that will dictate who has fancy shoes in this game. As Carrier clearing out vision in tandem with Peanut.
And I don't know if my money's on the Ziggs or the 3 Grub Gwen, to be honest, in that regard. Definitely anyone's game to take, as most of these turrets are pretty healthy.
I mean, we do have a couple of plates going down, but not really too much to be stated here at this stage of the game as far as any weak turrets. As Carrier just annoying Delight here, but he's just going to be able to take down this ward, no worries.
There's so much threat, so much follow-up. Like, once Viper has his ult back, he can impact a play as well. Like, if Zeus ults in on the Guma, gets his ult out, for example, and maybe the follow-up is there from the Rel, from the Ziggs. They need to be very cautious when they push up like this. Reading the play well, though. Have that control vision in the river, even though it's very heavily controlled otherwise by Hanwha Life in terms of vision. They have enough vision for Guma to walk up and start hitting this turret. And he has the backup of Carrier. Delight's heading back over. As this is not really where Gwen wants to be. Is rooted and just kind of blasted by a Rise.
I tell you what, it's kind of nice to see Zeka back.
Yeah, no, Zeka's back, man.
I've kind of missed him. As I say that, he's just going to realm warp his way to safety.
He's really back now.
He's really back. I thought I casted cursed him. In that moment, I was like, oh no. I mean, Chronicle's not working today. He's not here to tell me that they don't exist, and it's okay to say things. I know better than that. We know that we have a lot of power in that area. And so I will try to be more responsible in future. I'm sorry, everyone, especially to the Zeka fans. There's trade of ultimates here between Zeus and Gumayushi.
Viper not quite in range to follow up with an ult if Delight wanted to flash on him there. He also had his own flash, but that's the kind of moment I'm talking about where like trade ults and Viper's like, I'm holding my R key. And Doran will be stopped on his back.
Oh dear. There's a Vault Breaker as Peanut coming around yet again. He'll find the cease and desist, and in fact, Doran will cease to exist.
I mean, Zeka's back, but Peanut's back?
Yeah.
Peanut
I know.
in both games? Like, is this the Hanwha that we were promised? The Hanwha that won Summer last year? The Hanwha that won First Stand in LCK Cup? I think it kind of is right now.
I mean, it might be too early to say anything definitive as Zeus. I mean, Gumayushi doesn't have ult, so this is an actually very scary time. Carrier comes on over, and we'll be able to start doing some work here. Remember, 3 grubs, so these turrets are somewhat susceptible.
I'm starting to see some symptoms of best of 5 Hanwha from earlier in this year. You know?
Yeah.
And actually, the diagnosis is a good thing, if that is, in fact, what we have on our hands.
And the ridiculous thing is I just feel like it should never have been... It should never have gone away.
Yeah.
Like, we know this team is full of, like, incredibly talented players. But we just didn't really see that for the last few months.
They had a pretty brutal schedule. I mean, so did T1. Obviously, a lot of our teams traveling internationally, but I think it's the first time this Hanwha roster and a lot of these players have had that kind of crazy schedule. T1's very used to it. Yeah, maybe just the extra break they had of play-ins really helped them get into the right minds as Peanut. I don't know if he wants to commit. Well, he will.
Going to flash on in and bring the Rift Herald down to 50 health.
He didn't smite.
Yeah. Oh, wait, so never mind. He just didn't press the button. It was sitting at 100 health.
Maybe he pressed
what felt like a million years.
He's a Thrasher, that's the problem. He pressed D, but it was the flash key.
That's a whoopsie. He switched his summoner spells over. Surprised we don't see a pause and then a chrono break so he could just switch that. Unfortunately, not going to be the case here. Yeah, that was... Okay, maybe we spoke too soon.
He's back still. He's still back. Don't worry.
Honestly, this was Peanut for the last 4 years, regardless of the form.
Yeah.
The flashes have never been... the smites have never really been his strong suit.
He brought his finest smites out for game 1.
He certainly did. As Owner is going to... Okay, no, there's the smite. That's what we're talking about. He was waiting for that one. Wanted a red buff.
That one was arguably more impressive than the ones he missed. Like, anyway, Hanwha Life do have control over this dragon, and Peanut will have his second smite at the ready, so they are going to take it.
The Hextech minefield is so frustrating. T1 are instead just going to look for this outer turret in the mid lane, as HLE will be able to take this first Mountain Drake. That one does go down, and the rest of them are actually there to defend. Let's see whether Shelly does get a charge, and she will be able to do so. It's not going to be enough to take down this turret, as Faker gets this wave shoved in towards the top side. Teleport at the ready for Zeus, if he'd like to pick that one up. but he is also doing some housekeeping here towards the bottom side, and it's just going to be a realm warp that brings Zeka up there to alleviate that lane of the minions.
This Ziggs in the draft hasn't made the biggest impact in terms of team fighting or big combos with the Rel just yet, but I think it's really helped Hanwha hold on to control over the map and allows Peanut to make these attempted steals, right? This one...
Yeah, and it's also from this time of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ziggs really gets valuable because A, you infinitely clear in the mid lane, and B, you just walk like a few Teemos one way or the other, and you
go
can
boom.
clear an entire wave.
Yeah, you can clear an entire wave, you can ult anybody for kill secure, you can defend any turret from a push, even like a Gwen push, you know, that we've talked about with 3 grubs can be defended by Viper just saying goodbye to that wave you're talking about. So Ziggs is just so multifaceted in what it does in this draft here for Hanwha Life. We mentioned it before the game even began, and I think we're really starting to feel with Peanut having this performance again on the Vi, how much power you can get with just a small lead. And it's only 1,700 the lead. It's not like an insurmountable lead or anything like that.
Let's see what happened here. Okay, so he gets... Can you get me vision?
아깝다.
And then...
Bummer.
개 아깝네. 까비.
That was so close, is what he said. I'm
He
actually...
tried to smite it, but this time...
일단
there
용
it goes.
레드 먹었거든.
That one
야,
was
용
much
치자
better.
이거.
So I think he was just out of range or something like that and sort of watched it at such low health and couldn't quite get there.
It looked silly in the observer
It
client,
did definitely look silly.
a little bit more realistic there. You could see, obviously, it was very calculated. And like when you watch that steal on the red, you're like, yeah, how does he ever miss smite if he gets that one? Like if he can do that one, like what's up with the flubs, man?
Oh, pedal. Pedal check. T1 13-2.
Some teams just don't hit pedals.
I know, and HLE
We're gonna have to get some
doing,
stats for this.
Yeah, HLE were doing a good job with the pedals in the first game. This game, not so good. We need to get some more pedals here. As Peanut is just going to be breaking some vaults away from Carrier.
Zeka's like looking at his Roa. He's like, I don't need that. I don't need pedals.
Yeah, you guys go do the gardening. I don't need to do that. I got a garden in my stick that I picked up.
Yeah, it's quite convenient.
Indeed.
There's a Rel here. Yeah, he doesn't have that anymore, but Delight's just out of range to make something happen here. And Zeka's just out of half of his health, but I don't think he really minds too much. There's no objectives up to fight for right now. Ziggs going to pick up Horizon Focus here at 1920 and TP back to mid. Like, this is when Guma is going to try his best to play the game and clear waves as quickly as possible and try not to interact.
Yeah. And Viper is going to do the same thing and feel even better about it. As Archangel's immediately transforming into that Seraph there for Zeka, who does have that 2-item spike now complete. 5 stacks left to go on the Rod of Ages. As Doran possibly going to get dove here. Zeus goes for a little bit of a trade. And one warning I do have is that it's Mountain Soul.
Yes.
If HLE get control of this game and start stacking Drakes,
yes,
grasp Ambessa with Mountain Soul, Wolf.
Also, Seraph's Rise with Mountain
Yeah.
Soul.
I don't like that. That doesn't make me feel very good. That sounds like no counterplay. Zeus gets so many shields, right?
He does.
And so like you get so many free resistances from stacking up 4 mountains, and then you get another shield.
Yes.
Goodness me,
crazy.
that's not very balanced.
Zeka might get a Zonia's later, you know?
Yeah.
Watch out. He might get a... no, he's not going to build.
Well, he's got strong feet because the first turret does go down towards that bottom side of the map.
But we got there.
3,000 gold is the lead here for HLE. Sort of just, I mean, obviously first turret blood going to be a big deal, but it was sitting at 1.5k for the majority. Just slowly but surely holding on to this game is HLE, but T1, they do have a lot of tools, right? If they pull the trigger all at the same time, like the burst damage is kind of obscene.
Yeah, I mean, look, T1 are still in this game in a big way because they have such great collapse, right? They can stop side laners really well. They have a 3-grub Gwen. Like, all they have to do is win one team fight, and then Doran just exists, like, for example, in the bottom lane right now, and 2 turrets disappear, and then the gold lead disappears, and it's like, it's just one fight. That's all it takes for T1 to get right back into this. The problem is, Hanwha have so many great tools to stop that from happening, and They have great clear with the Ziggs. They have so much easy follow-up, and they also have great, single target CC and brawling power in this composition. We're going to see Zeka TP topside as this fight for Otacon Vision continues, and Faker is the target here.
Yeah, Vault Breaker comes in. There's the cease and desist. Mega Inferno Bomb and the public execution, and the Annie's just dead. But the rest of the cavalry will turn up. Peanut in a bit of trouble, but he makes it out alive. Zeus will see whether he's going to be so lucky, and yes, he is. He's stacked up some grasp, and he's just healthy enough. Still, that's a bunch of flashes now on cooldown. The job done, and we do have now the Drake being started, and Ona now moving up towards this top side as Delight is going to move in. Zeka's like, is this what you want?
This is a really scary situation here for either team to start Otacon. I don't think they will. It's just mad. Surely T1. Right.
The fact that Peanut can just take this dragon for free, though, is kind of insane. And T1 feel priced in to try and do something about it.
It's just so risky to actually commit to this. Delight has his ultimate, by the way, at the ready.
There's the Mountain Drake as teleport to come in. They're looking to pincer Zeka here. And Handshake is going to miss, but look at this AoE damage. Immediate flash out from the Rise as Delight finds the Magnus Storm under 3. Hostile takeover is only on the Metal Horse Pants Girl, and Doran, he has to flash away. This Otacon is now looking worse for wear, and Peanut is like, thank you very much for once again another leash.
I think this was just a risky call from T1. I get the idea.
Doran's with the Krugs. He's with the Krugs. They told him that the Mega Inferno Bomb was coming. They told him that... Not that the Vi was coming. There was a realm warp that they gave him information about.
I think they just told him,
like,
nice dodge, buddy.
Yeah, it was a bit of that. He was also almost, almost really dead. Well, is that what the Krugs sound like, Wolf?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, wow. Well, what would you say that accent is?
I don't know.
I liked it a lot. Season Desist is going to come on through here as Faker does have Tibbers, but doesn't have his life. And Zeus is going to grab another one. What is happening, Wolf?
Well, T1 are likely going down 0-2 in this best of 5 is what I think is happening right now, Atlas. They lose control over they have the Otacon, right? They in control, but they don't have health bars here, right? And the fact that Rise is here, this Rel that has ultimate is here. Look at Zeka, just flashes away. Delight goes on the Magnus Storm, gets the stun on the Guma right afterwards, and that hostile takeover alone is not going to be enough. Doran is split off on the side, and there's just no way to win this fight anymore. Zeus is so healthy, and Guma has no buttons anymore. He can't do anything, he can't approach, and then they end up catching Doran anyways off on the side because he has to take that risky back. And Faker dies right afterwards, and it's just too much. Like, there's too many dominoes falling over here for T1 all at once. And similar to Game 1, where you're a little bit behind, there's still one team fight in it, you're back in the game, but they keep trying to force these fights, and I think it's always been the T1 mentality. Like, we can win any fight. We can win off any turn on any objective. It's that confidence, that's the T1 magic we often describe, even when they're down on gold, but now down 5,000 gold. And it's going to take more than just one fight to get back in it. And just like Game 1, like they keep committing into these fights. Remember Faker when he got picked in mid just a moment ago, they all committed in like, maybe we can save him, maybe we can turn. But it's just not enough. And Hanwha Life Esports just keep getting more and more every time T1 almost gets something back. Yeah. Hanwha Life gets so much more.
And it's so hard, right? Because as this game gets further and further away from T1, it gets easier and easier for HLE to play it. Because all you need to do at the beginning of a fight is press one of your buttons towards Gumayushi and force the ult. Yep. As soon as you do that, he's dead. That's just the long and short of it.
And even if he doesn't die, like we saw in the Otacon, he can't be there anymore. So he's effectively dead. Yeah. He's doing no damage. He's not in the fight. And when we're zoomed in on him right now in this game, he does have his ult back online, and that is that's what he's going to be trying to use in the upcoming team fight. Likely what will be on the sole point fight for either team of this Dragon.
And I even think that getting 3 Mountain Drakes is just going to be almost too much. Zeus is going to be almost impossible to kill. There's no real tank on the side of T1 or anything like that. No one can actually hold Zeus at bay. He'll just be Beyblading around and killing everyone.
And that's why the Ziggs build too makes so much sense, because if he hits anybody, it's value. I mean, with Horizon focus on top of the Luden's Companion, you just do so much burst damage, even with your Qs.
Well, Mega Inferno Bomb is just going to soften up Gumayushi here momentarily. They're going to try to take down this turret. By try, I mean they will obliterate this turret.
Satchel deletion of the turret. He just tosses an ult in Guma's direction. Half his health bar is gone. and then the turret goes with it. And Hanwha Life are like, I'm not waiting for that dragon. We're looking for a bit of Baron vision right now. We're going to force T1 to come to us. They're going to pull them towards the top side of this map right now.
Yep, Carrier going to get some vision down here as Zeus. Possibly in an
Ambessa.
uncomfortable spot as there's the ulti in from Ona, but he's Ambessa.
Yeah, he's like, cool, I didn't need my flash anyways.
Yeah, now HLE going to turn this into a potential opportunity for a fight themselves.
They have to join here to make sure that T1 doesn't get too much power around this Baron, but they don't have to force a fight necessarily. They're going to grab this crab, which will clear vision out. That last final ward there is now gone. And they can just walk away. They don't have to fight on T1's terms here as Viper has full control of the mid lane.
And this is the thing, they will just permanently have side lane control.
And that's what's been happening this whole time, right? Like you said, it gets easier for Hanwha Life, but they've always had control in this game, but now they have like maximum control. The Gwen hasn't been able to see a turret for a long time. Like he hasn't been on the same screen as a turret for a while. And so this Gwen side laning doesn't mean anything if he can't get there. All these turrets are healthy here for Hanwha Life Esports. This is a T1 Hail Mary Baron with a turn opportunity. TP is going to come through from Zeus. This is that T1 magic attempt. Vina has flash here, and he is by.
Faker is going to spot him, but unable to actually lock Peanut down or anything like that. Can he actually get into the pit? Will he be able to get the smite? The answer is no. Ona locks that one down. Hostile takeover is gigantic as well, but it's the Pantheon going down, and there goes Gumayushi. Zeus wondering which target to go for next. As Zekra and Faker doing battle. The flash forward, and there's the blast cone to get Faker to safety, keeping at least a Baron alive, and I believe 2 more are going to survive as well. T1 with that Hail Mary are going to get rewarded for it.
Okay, it's a big win here for T1. It's not enough to put them back into this game fully, but it's enough to buy them a ton of space. And now the Gwen with a little bit of power here in this side might be able to actually put some work onto that turret. As Peanut wants to look for the steal here, but it's actually unfortunately a bit too early, looking with Viper to try to burst it down. Guma avoids Zeus' ultimate, but then goes straight in here. Because he has bailout, he knows he can get that second life, but he's just deleted instantly. I think if they slow play this a little bit more with Guma, T1 could have gotten even more. As here's the collapse onto that side laning Gwen.
Level 16 here for Zeus, gets himself into the circle. Zekka's moving over, Viper's here as well. Carrier, not going to be enough support, but they do not overextend for it. Understanding Grand Starfall is a thing. That would be difficult for them to deal with. Faker will be able to take this out of turret in the mid lane.
Second turret of the game here for T1.
A lot of standing gold. Lot of standing gold.
Gold lead is shrinking turret by turret here. And like I said, if you get one fight, you start to get those turrets, you can get back into the game. It's going to take more than that now, but one turret goes down, 2 turrets go down. You know, maybe you get soul point here on this dragon because you have full control. T1 feeling better than they have for the last 10 minutes in this game for sure.
Yeah, we can see that the gold is in favor of HLE, but those tempo vibes that we do talk about, they're certainly feeling like they're moving back towards T1. Mega Inferno Bomb doing a lot of work, and oh no. The Ziggs now getting an opportunity to set up, and that means this sort of stuff happens where they all take too much damage.
And like right now, Hanwha Life Esports are just going to keep.
And what do you do?
Yeah, no, you can't walk forward. And Guma still has his ultimate, but he has to be so careful about how he uses it because there's a Vi, there's an Ambassa, there's so many threats. There's no Ziggs bomb here. At least you've got that.
Howie.
And like they just say, T1, if you're going to hang on this dragon, we'll just push mid. And that's exactly what Zekka is doing, and someone's going to have to answer eventually. Faker pushed off into the bottom side lane here. And Hanwha Life can look to start a fight here. Zeus on the flank.
Beautiful flank angle. It's there's a Magnus Storm. Dives on top of Gumayushi, and he's held into the sky. Featherstorm does absolutely nothing. Still able to do a fair bit of damage off to the back end. As now Ona's in trouble. Zeus looking for him. As Peanut actually just going to get destroyed. Ona finding a lot more value than I was expecting in that moment, but unable to get the dragon, and that will be secured here by HLE. And Peanut would have liked that GA in that last fight.
Kuma's just chain CC'd. He barely gets to Featherstorm. He barely gets off. His Delight's flanking. Zeus is flanking. Nowhere is safe, right? The Realm Warp on top of him. Like, there is literally nowhere to go as this low-range Xayah. He barely gets to ult with the bailout ticking, but there's no execution. There's no kill. Owner does, like you said, insane work here in this fight. Actually, Peanut going in
up
here.
the queue and just obliterates.
He's like, thanks, Peanut, for the second. So he gets 2 kills there, but ultimately the dragon still goes over to Hanwha Life. It's another pick onto Guma. And this Xayah pick is really struggling right now for T1.
And honestly, I'm kind of impressed that Gumayushi has made this look as playable as he has. Because I think he's definitely made the most of what is an almost unplayable situation.
Yeah, no,
at this point in time.
I think, we saw yesterday Duck Dom on the Xayah as well from behind, showcasing how much you can do if you're really good at the champ. But this is just a tougher draft to play into. He's the only gold lead realistically here for T1, and he's trying to keep this game alive, but he is the target. He's always the target.
Yeah, it doesn't have Featherstorm, doesn't have Flash, so Peanut is just wanting to press R on the Xayah. He knows that. That is why immediately T1 just run away. And so that gold lead still at about 3,000, but it's the 3 stack of Mountain Drakes, the Soul Point available for HLE. And they already had so much map control, and Soul Point, I mean, Chronicle waffles about this all the time, right? It's almost as powerful as Soul
it's what you
with
can,
the amount of control you get for it.
It's what you use Soul for. It's the same idea with Otacon. Not all of our teams can fully realize that value, but when you have control over Otacon, it's more powerful than the Otacon buff itself because they have to come to you and fight it. Otherwise, you're going to get it and you're going to get all that value, and then you could just win a fight and then also get Otacon, which is why it's more valuable. If you just get Otacon, then you have Otacon, but they don't want that to happen. It's the same sort of thing with Baron. This is how objectives are used, but Hanwha Esports have so much control over the map and the Soul Point, so T1 have to move really uncomfortably towards it to contest. Like, even trying to clear vision like what Doran is doing right now, he's just walking a tightrope. If he gets engaged on there and dies, it's a disaster for T1, but he has to do it. He has to go and clear any vision he can around the map. Otherwise, they just cannot even be inside lanes. So this level 16 Gwen cannot even farm unless there's a little bit of vision, a little bit of clear.
And he's not that far behind or anything like that.
No, really not.
We just haven't really seen them be able to do anything because it has to be so committal on T1's side. And if HLE are set up around an objective, they have the guy on your screen just before, the little Ziggs. He just throws things at him.
Yeah, look at Doran right now. He's like, well, I'll just wait for this mini wave because I know I can't be anywhere near where it is right now. I'm just going to let it come through, which allows allows Hanwha to take free backs right now, to keep that vision on the top side and then rotate bottom side and kind of rinse and repeat and maintain control. And if anyone shows near Peanut, Zeus, Viper, they die.
I have an analogy for you, okay?
Yeah.
This is one that you will get. Basically, think that you're playing Slappers Only mode in GoldenEye.
Yes.
Okay? But one guy has a grenade launcher.
Yeah.
That's what you're playing.
Yeah. That's exactly what's happening right now.
That's the game.
And also, the guy with the slapper can only see half the screen.
Yeah. And the grenade launcher guy, he has X-ray vision and can see everything.
Yeah. He can screen cheat, and you can't. And on your screen, you can't see anything.
Oh, no. That's kind of what it feels like as the setup does come through. If T1 managed to, get everything all together and just delete Viper before he can do anything, maybe there's an opportunity, but it's going to take a gap in the vision. It's going to take Owner finding a perfect ult, the flash Tibbers from Faker, all these sorts of things. That's what's going to need to line up for T1 to make it work, or to catch HLE spread on the map, which is what they did for the Baron.
Right now, Hanwha Esports they've kind of stagnated a little bit because they don't want to take any unnecessary risks and play into the strengths of T1 and get pinched or overextend. They're basically just waiting for timers. Right now, Baron's up. They have full vision around it. Now they can actually start to look for a real team fight. And look at all the vision they have for it. Like, they did all their due diligence. Did they try to push for, an inhibitor turret or a risky enter? No. Just sit, push waves clear, keep vision control, wait for those timers. Now they can force an awkward trade here for T1, for example, where they can get Mountain Soul or fight for that Baron where T1 have very little vision. Hanwha have all the cards right now.
See what they can do with them. As 3,000 gold at 35 minutes, the gold isn't the problem. It's more about how these comps function against one another. 8 seconds until the Mountain Soul is available, but it's the Baron that's going to be the target as Faker engaging onto Delight. Not necessarily optimal here, as Viper holding onto the ulti. Tibbers is dead.
Yeah, I mean, he just cleanses it and walks away, and that's one of your best engage tools gone now as T1.
Didn't have to flash. Tibbers will be back relatively soon, but it's still a decent cooldown they won't have access to. As Mega Inferno Bomb is going to get a lot of flashes. There's the Featherstorm down. That's all HLE needed.
And they've got still so many buttons to kill him with. Yep. Good luck in this one, Guma. This is going to be tough. He's got his flash at least, but he needs to operate so far away from Hanwha Life, and this means Hanwha Life could just get on this Baron. Zeka doing such a great job of pushing these mid waves in, while T1 run around the
look at those, the little purple circles. As, all right, Peanut going to get himself back into the pit. And the zoning is going to continue. He can just put them down perpetually. It is so annoying.
It just keeps constantly harassing and zoning as Pantheon goes for the flank.
There's the engage, trying to get on top of Viper here as the redemption goes down. Owner taking so much damage, and Delight finding huge CC into that back line. GA going to get procced though, as now Doran going golden. Mega Inferno Bomb up yet again as Doran looking to get himself out of there. Punched in the back of the head by Peanut, but Owner is able to get one back as well. He will finally go down though, and now Viper has all the space in the world.
And they've also got this full health Rise to deal with as well. Guma, he's going to have a heroic performance here. He has his flash.
Carrier is looking so incredibly low as well. They know that they cannot lose this soul as Carrier getting a decent amount of work done, and now Gumayushi taking matters into his... Never mind, he's dead. And that is going to be almost an ace because Faker is there in the mid lane, but unable to actually do anything after teleporting back. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Mountain Soul.
For Mountain Soul. The highest amount of resistance.
Okay, so we've got 86 armor and 50 MR for Faker. And let's see what that number is.
Click on
we have
Zeka.
A look at somebody else.
Click on Zeka, who has Zonias in his inventory.
Yeah, we should. That'll be skewed. It will be a little skewed, I think. But
well,
I still do want to see the number.
I don't think T1 fans want to see that number right now, Atlas. We might not click on it, and this is a Baron just going to disappear right before the
Rise has 171 armor and over double the Okay, well, I mean, he also has Mocha. So there's a lot of things, but it's also silly. Let's have a look.
It's a heroic attempt here from Owner, and it actually splits up the fight. I think if this is a closer game, this might have worked out because Carrier's follow-up is phenomenal, and then they can actually collapse on the Zeus and get his GA. This is the best fight Guma could have ever hoped for. While all the other threats are pushed away by that engage from the Pantheon, who has GA, who's buying an insane amount of space. Like, I think this is the best fight T1 could have ever hoped for, but they're just so far behind, so massive behind. Viper's flash up with a fat wall as well to survive. Chef's kiss, because he lives and now they can't do this. And this is an awkward, bizarre moment between Guma and Carrier where Carrier drops redemption here and is looking for something on the dragon, but Guma opts out, then suddenly opts in at the last possible moment there and just simply dies and loses his flash. So a bit of disjointed there at the end, but I think there really wasn't a great play no matter what, whichever way you look at that for T1, but they end up losing Mountain Soul, and now Baron is up for Hanwha Esports, 5,000 gold ahead. Ziggs here, near full build. This is just looking like a disaster. I don't know if you can ever recover from this.
It's going to be very, very difficult. Yeah, for Mountain Soul, Baron, all these sorts of things are a little bit rough. As Peanut is going to get spotted on the flank. That is going to be good news there for T1, who might be able to defend this. And they do have decent, counter siege. The amount of, getting to a turret, quite difficult here for HLE.
The late tier tech here from Viper is pretty cute as well on this.
Yeah, it's kind of wacky. Has got it decently stacked, but that is going to be the turret taken down eventually.
I mean, I don't even think he used his satchel there. This next turret is going to die even faster if he does employ that, as they're just going to use these minions, deny flanks here from Doran and Owner.
But they're really playing this one carefully, right? Making sure that they don't overstep. As the bouncing bomb comes down, Carrier loses half of his health bar.
If you just use your range and wave clear, the minions will do the work, and you don't give T1 that in to a fight. As Owner is going to look for something here.
Yeah, going for a little bit of an angle. As Peanut does take a bit of damage, but Zeus is going to be there as well. Doran goes over one mine and then almost dies. Carrier, speaking of which, he's not going to get bailed out of this one. The three-man Magnus Storm comes in from Delight as well on the follow-up, and off to the side, the Gwen is dead. The Pantheon soon to follow. A couple of kills do come through for T1 though. Gumayushi able to pick up one off that back end, but still they lose the turret, and HLE, they get a few extra on that one themselves.
Hey, we're going to get this inhibitor easily here, and with Baron and Power Recall still available, they can just get out of here. Commitment from Viper, actually. He wants more with this next wave. Just going to get the TP from Zeus back in. They're looking to end.
These turrets go down so incredibly quickly. Look at this. Every auto is ridiculous, even without the short fuse. And Gumayushi, one bouncing bomb, and half his health bar goes down. Faker's dead as well. And HLE, I think they want to go home early tonight. That is match point up 2-0.
A routing of T1 here. 2 games in a row. Hanwha Life in full control.